I think, yeah, so we're live now, but I need to see myself live in order to
Mm-hmm.
make it public, to make you see it live.
Right.
Ah, that just sounds nice. Okay, so I'm gonna edit it to being. Okay, so yeah, I've now just made it public, so now people have started to see it.
All right. Let me see. Yes, I can see. So I can share it now.
Yeah, sure. You can share it and then let me know. Okay, so I'll be here.
Great.
Okay.
Posting. Posted.
Yes. Now that's nice. Okay. So we've got a few people watching, and this will grow eventually. Before that, let me mute my mobile phone, or it's gonna go weird. Really, hmm. Okay. So hello everybody. Hope all of you guys have been doing well, and keeping yourselves healthy, loving yourselves. Well, yeah, just taking care of yourself in general. Okay, so I'm here today with Britta. I'm so proud to say that she contacted me for connecting, and I was really proud of myself. I'm like, oh my god, people really contact me now. So yeah, and we have her today. It's gonna be an amazing talk because we both like really connect with each other. So yeah, and I hope that everything goes well here because yeah, I now that we've talked, I see we're two very crazy people, so things can go a bit wild. Yeah, please share. So I've got my friend here who's shared already. Hi, Zara. She studies with me. We're classmates. So yeah, she's a very good friend. And I think we should get this beginning. Let's have Britta introduce herself, and then we can get our interview to the start. Yeah, we can kickstart it.
Perfect. I mean, first of all, Raheen, it's just been such an amazing pleasure to come across you. I've seen your interviews and I just felt like I want to talk to you and I want to know more. And, it's just so amazing. And in a way, I don't know if that is weird to say, but you just reminded me so much of my younger self in so many ways that I felt like, something that you have shared is that you also do, for example, stand-up comedy and
Mm,
things like that. You care about social entrepreneurship. You want to make a difference and you're out there, making yourself visible. And I think that this is just such a beautiful thing. So
mm,
about myself, I mean, I'm sure we can talk a lot. Maybe just
yeah,
saying, what is it that I'm doing right now?
yeah.
So right now, I have spent my life trying to figure out how can I, with my personality, with my skills, and with who I am in the world, make the biggest difference. And my
Mm,
answer currently is that I work with people who can affect change in the world. But I work with them not only on the brain level, but I really go deeper into personal transformation and personal development and leadership development. So I'm doing that currently at the Center for Sustainable Finance and Private Wealth at the University of Zurich for inheritors globally. So successors of family offices that want to become impact investors. That's one thing, but I'm also doing private work on the side. And I'm working now, for example, with a group of people who are change makers. They don't need to be inheritors. I've been working with artists, corporate leaders, founders of startups. I think tech startup founders, for example, have a huge potential. And,
yeah.
all those people who are working on the most pressing issues that the planet is facing, I want to help them stay positive, resilient, connected, and
Mm.
always have the bigger picture in mind so that they don't lose track and yeah, they just keep going because that's what the world needs, I think.
Yeah, and that's so true because when you said connected, I too connected with you. And I feel like it is kind of hard at times as a global change maker or somebody who's just contributing to something that is, like a bigger thing that is
Mm,
going on to the world. I feel like it is at times hard to stay connected because you're also connected to other people like you. And I feel at that time your connection with whoever you, I mean, we have different names for God. I'm just going to take it global, right? I call it Allah. We have other names as well, right? So I feel like that connection and the connection with the social connection in the age of social media,
mm.
that is really important. So I really feel you, and I would love to hear more about you. Now, first, uh, tell me, where are you from and where were you born?
Oh
Yeah.
yes, basic. So I'm right now. There's a strange echo that I'm hearing.
Okay. Is that because are you on a laptop?
Yes,
Okay. Do you have your Facebook tab open?
I do.
That's what the problem is. See, I'm
Let's
become an
try.
expert.
Is it better now? Let's see. Yeah,
Okay.
awesome. Okay, so
See?
where am I based? Where did I grow up? So I'm based in Europe. I grew up in Switzerland and very close to the Swiss-German border. My father is German, my mother Swiss, and where I grew up, it's kind of a little paradise, I would say. So much nature. We always had animals, and whenever I went on a bike trip, in a way, I was crossing the border to Germany. So this thing of identities just became very fluid uh,
Mhm.
and and very artificial in a way. So I always felt that there's a much deeper connection between all of us than what that defines.
Yeah. I was so proud of myself that I traveled cities when I go to my school because I live in one city. I live in the twin cities of Pakistan, right? So I live in Rawalpindi and I just kind of cross the border and I end up in Islamabad when I go to
Mm.
school. And I'm like, oh my God, just when I heard you, I'm like, oh my God, she cycles to another country. That's like an achievement. So yeah, I sort of relate to you, but on a smaller level, I would say. Not on that level. Now tell me, how was your like early years? Because I understand with with your families, one side being from another and the other being, something you like being from another country.
Hmm.
It was something normal. Yet you were very culturally diverse. I mean, that is what I expect. I mean, or I thought of at least. So,
Hmm.
how were your like early days, and how many siblings do you have, by the way?
Right. Yes. So I have one very amazing brother,
Mm.
and he's 6 years older than me. And yeah, we grew up together. It was quite a big age difference because, of course, when he has left primary school, I just entered primary school. So in a way, we were living in a little bit different realities, but then at the same time, there were also many things that we have shared. And like one of the things that we have shared as a whole family, like imagine this. I mean, my parents are just amazing, super inspiring. They are very idealistic. Like I come in general from a family of teachers, educators. Um, we just all care about getting our message across and lifting everybody up. That's kind of the thing. But then we did lots of crazy things. Like, for example, we all developed together as a family a passion for the circus. And maybe the circus means something different for everyone. I don't know who is listening today. Um, because I think, from the animal protection perspective, for example, I'm not in favor of animals necessarily in the circus. But the type of circus that I really love is something, like Cirque du Soleil, which is a very poetic thing, I think. And it is really creating a dreamlike alternative reality where you can make things happen and reimagine ways of connecting with each other. And so as a whole family, we had our favorite circus, the Circus Monti here in Switzerland. And we became friends with the circus family, for example. So, I sometimes then traveled during my holidays with a clown who has adopted me as the child the godchild, but from the clown perspective. So this became very much part of my life. And we all together, we started to practice magical tricks, juggling. We taught juggling to everybody in the neighborhood. We just did crazy things. Unicycle. And at the same time on the unicycle playing the saxophone and juggling. Like I did crazy stuff like that. And with my brother, I performed for several years as a clown, and he was the juggler. And yeah, this is a little bit what I would say my childhood was like, because my mother studied developmental psychology. So she is great at spotting somebody's potential and encouraging it and nourishing what is there. And my father as well, just such an optimistic and funny guy. And, we all together have been, creating magical moments, I would say.
Yeah. Now tell me, because I understand that all this at a fairly young age must have been a bit overwhelming as to performing with your brother, yet very bonding moments that your mother and both your father have, kind of managed to create those magical moments for both of you guys, right? And that is why now you're able to tell me today that yes, I have a magical paradise like childhood, right? Now tell me, now this was something that I had too in my childhood, being very funny, but not like really, really being a clown in a circus. Okay, that was something that I wanted to be for a very long time. But then I
Cool.
turned out, oh my God, what about my nose? How do I put like my nose there? So I've done a few things. Now tell me how learning those magical tricks and learning all that make you feel yet very different from the people your age, right? They were doing something else in their life. So how did that feel, and especially with the magic tricks? Because as a child you would be like, oh my God, this is magic, right? And you know how much effort that kind of goes into it. So how was magic kind of ruined for you?
Ooh. I mean, you just keep asking amazing questions, and that's why I thought it would be fun to talk to you. How was magic ruined for me? This is really interesting because I think I was more interested in creating magic than, in that sense, experiencing magic. Maybe for me, magic was on a different level. Like for me, magic was, I didn't come from a privileged family. Not at all. The family of teachers and very idealistic. And for me, in a way, this is magic to think as a 7-year-old that I want to be a clown and to make that happen and to have a career, in it while I was at school for like 14 years. That was already something that I think is magic on a bigger level. So, and the connection with the other pupils at school, I think it's funny because in a way I have also created a little bit my own space. So I didn't care too much what the others would think about it, because I just knew that this was real for me and it was really important for me. I was sometimes performing. I think, in a way it was super brave because I was just performing also at school, or like there was an opening of the train station locally and I was just performing there. So I was very visible. And in a way, I think once you are on stage as a clown, like you cannot get much more vulnerable than that. I think, in terms of, for example, one thing, I remember I was a clown and I was hired, for example, also for weddings, just as an example. And then, weddings, birthday parties, company celebrations, like all that stuff. And, I remember I was outside of that room in a restaurant with my mother, waiting for my show. And the people were already having such a good time in there. They were having a great time. And I was like, whoa. And now they have, they want to see me, but how do I bring this even to the next level? So it has been quite a challenge. And as a clown, in a way, you cannot leave the stage. Like the show is not over until you have brought some magic and some, fun and some new ways of experiencing reality. So I think what that taught me very much was to read a room, to see who are the people in this audience, who of them want really to be the clown themselves. but maybe they have never been in their whole life. And how can I make that possible? So it was also very much about realizing unrealized potential. And how could I make that happen during the time that I was there on stage doing something with this group?
And as you said, vulnerable, something just kind of like went off in my mind because I feel like clown is kind of like really controversial. It's like a super controversial word because it can be said as an insult. It can be said at like sad times. It can be said as a compliment or an adjective, and yet a positive and a very negative, and somewhere like in a gray area as well. That gray area in between.
Right.
That way too. So it's like a very as to how you say it and as to how you feel it as well. So has it ever been that you've been like so insulted just to be said a clown? Has
Nope.
has that ever happened?
Never. Not at all. Because for me, it was a very positive word. I know that now there are killer clowns out there, or you call, for example, a certain president a clown or whatever. So I don't want to be associated with any of that, of course.
Yeah.
For me, clown means something totally different. It's a very poetic thing. It's a fantasy figure that is making things possible that are otherwise not there. So that was what it was all about for me.
Yeah, Pennywise kind of just like ruined it for all of us. Yeah, that it clown, that is kind of like it. That's why I'm actually very scared of clowns because of that. And then when I started my stand-up comedy, I feel like my stand-up comedy, because yes, it was comedy in like some form, not like very much related to being a clown. But I feel even when I was a stand-up comedian, at times people would laugh at me, like point at me and laugh at me. At times, of course, that's a good sign for us, right? But at times you might feel like, oh, why is that guy being like so weird, right? This times right? And I really felt that this has been like a very spiritual journey for me, as you has seen. I have been laughed at. That's like the biggest thing you can experience in life, being laughed at hysterically. So yeah, and having those kind of people like falling off their chairs laughing. So I feel it has been very spiritual that now I know that people laugh at me. It's not a problem for me because I honestly have to ignore and keep it as a good sign.
Right.
How's it been for you? Because you've done it for like 14 years, I guess, like 14 good, humongous years. So how's it been like very spiritually and like the mental health been affected, or your spiritual journey throughout career of yours as a clown?
I mean, such amazing questions. I think that the being laughed at was not a problem for me because that was what I was volunteering.
Yeah.
Right? So actually, I think that every time they laugh at me or with me, they laugh at themselves and with themselves. And I think that this is the underlying role of a clown is, to chuckle about things that you actually know are true, also about yourself, but that are kind of taboo. So in a way, I think it's just bringing things to the surface. But, talking about mental health, I think there were just two moments that were actually tough for me because I was a little girl. And there were two moments when I had engagements that were very challenging. One was I was booked for a whole, imagine like a sports hall filled with firemen. And the firemen, the fire department had like a party. And the people were already half drunk. And there was loud music, and I was just on stage. And that was no match. Like there was total misalignment. And that was a thing, because of course I would continue, but I saw that the impact was not there that I'm usually creating because I could not connect. They were in a different state. So that was not possible. And that's not easy. But I knew I'm anyways doing my best, and that's all I can, And then, but the other thing that was even tougher was once I was engaged by a football club. And so I was performing in the arena. And imagine now all the stadium, full of people. And there was a moment, and this was not fun. So this was not fun because there was a moment when, just as part of the clown thing, I took off a jacket. And then imagine that these young boys, they were shouting at me, saying, take off more clothes.
Gross.
And that was gross. And that was totally inappropriate. And that was, I think, something that many women can relate to, also around the world. But these are dynamics that should just, nobody should experience them, whether they are performing as a clown or whether they're showing up in an office environment or in their family and friend circles. So I hope that nobody is going to do that. And I also hope that everybody who's listening, who might be male, is not ever going to engage in anything like that. And is going to speak up against it, actually.
Yeah, and it's because, I mean, clown, again, it's about the word, it's about how you would understand what a clown is, because everybody has their own like kind of definition for it. And
Right.
maybe their definition was like, yeah, a funny thing that we kind of like laugh at. And we
Yeah.
can do anything with it because yeah, the person we employed, we paid, right? So I feel the experience that you shared, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, I know it does kind of like take some courage to just share it openly, publicly, right? That this happened. So yeah, and I understand because I feel nowadays now it is very fishy that both of these things happened in a stadium, right? Now that is something that I just looked at and I'm like, bro, it was a stadium. So yeah, it's a stadium that I feel was really now when you just stopped being a clown, what else did you go on and discover? And then I guess this experience with you being a clown did help in what you're doing now, helping global change makers stay relevant and stay connected and stay resilient in their like own skin.
Right. Yeah. So, during the time that I was still a clown, I was also experimenting with all kinds of other ways of having impact. One was that I was drawing cartoons, very activist cartoons, with my opinion on, I always had a very deep connection with nature and animals, but also people wherever they were born and under whatever circumstances. So those were the kind of topics that I picked up. So that's one thing that I did. I also was, yeah, oh my God. Like, my teenage years, that's why it's so cool to talk to you, because my teenage years, I was on fire. Like I was then also conducting a youth choir. And it was a beautiful project, bringing together the community so much over the bonding, practicing, and then sharing what we have done as a group. It was just beautiful. And then I started to engage young people to become just active in politics. I didn't really tell them, what to think or to join any particular movement, but I felt that it's so important that you are making up your mind and that you're standing up for what you think is important. So I did that at the Swiss level and then also at the European level with the European Youth Parliament, chairing committees there. And, with all of these and other experiences, I started to think, maybe I should study global politics and try to do something really at the global level, bringing nations together and finding solutions to global issues. So I did that, and I have then had my first job at the Swiss Embassy in Singapore, which was super interesting. And I spent overall 2 years in Asia at that time. I went also to live in Shanghai, and I worked there for a consulting firm that was also working with the Foreign Office. And then I went to India, and in India I was in the desert in Rajasthan and worked with a grassroots organization. So I just tried to figure out what is the best setting for me and what are the issues, that I should really be working with. And what was interesting for me after that, it was a bit of a process to figure out the best approach. And then I said, actually, maybe it's time for me to go back to Switzerland and see what can I make happen there, right where I was born. And actually, I felt more and more that there are certain people who have, education, assets, skills, the global network, the global outlook, and the means to take decisions and actions really quickly. And those are some of the most powerful people in the planet. So I started to think, how can I actually work with the most powerful people who have direct decision-making power right now to change the world for the better? And that's how I then, eventually started to work with ultra high net worth people. And I did that first as part of a leading Swiss private bank here. And I led the next generation program for the bank, which meant that, all the successors of family offices globally, they came together for programs. And I designed it in a way that it was actually talking to them, because it was not about banking. Like, what do they care about banking? Really, seriously? It's really about how can they affect the world and how can they make a difference through various initiatives with the family business. Also with art collecting, you can have an impact. You can have an impact in influencing public policy, or then in starting up your own startups that are scalable and want to solve problems, really at scale for the world. Like I asked them, for example, once the question, how can you in the next 10 years create a venture that is changing 1 billion lives? So those kind of things. And then I also want to do a program on social business and impact investing. And through that, I actually came in touch with the university where I'm working right now. And this is now, I think, the first time that I felt aligned with my purpose. Yeah, working in that setting.
Yeah. And so you mentioned global change makers, and then you also mentioned how you have been encouraging the youth to go into politics, which is really nice because no offense or no political statement made, but the people that we have now that are in the spotlight for being kind of like the main decision makers of the world, they're all very old. I mean, they all are in their 60s or 70s. So I feel like bringing out young people is like bringing out young perspectives that are more relevant as well, because staying relevant and being 70 is hard. I mean, I'm not gonna, nobody argue with that, okay? That is hard. Staying relevant at that age as well. And if somebody is, that's a nice thing, but having the youth is like a new perspective. Now tell me, you said that you're working with very powerful people so that they can understand how important it is for the youth to come in. Now, what do you think right now has been going on in this change making industry, I would say now? So, how can children enter in it and also have an influence and an impact on all decisions made?
Yeah, I don't think that there is a kind of a universal answer, of course, because I think the circumstances for children in different parts of the world are very different. I always believe in this one thing, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. And I think with the right intention that are, and the intention is followed up by action, you're going to take sometimes baby steps, but sometimes leaps. So I think it's really important to believe that what you actually want to affect as change is important and that you can make change happen. Because the thing is, if anything has ever changed the world, then it's a small group of like committed people that are aligning around a shared purpose and mission. And they are just consistently taking action, because what is happening when you start to do that is that other people are taking are paying attention, and they are flowing and gravitating towards you. So to help you further your mission. And I think that, that may sound a bit maybe like it could take a long time, but I think that it is actually the way to go, in the sense that you need to find out what is it that you are deeply passionate about. What is the one thing that you cannot live without? The one thing that you would die for, maybe, if you want to say that. The one thing that you need to dedicate your life energy to. And then find other people, become visible, speak up, find other people who want to do the same thing, partner up. Nothing is ever done in isolation. I don't know. Does that make sense? Because I think everything else is going to be really culturally specific and context specific.
Yeah, and I really feel you with that one. Now, as in the end you mentioned collaborations and nothing can be done in isolation. I totally agree. Now, tell me, how important do you think are collaborations to make a global impact?
Yes, I think they are very important. And I think they are crucially important because what I'm noticing with the people that I'm working with, so I do different types of work, but when I do, for example, one-to-one work with, let's say, a next gen from a certain family, what can happen is that in their family, they might not be supported in their impact journey. Because maybe if the wealth was created, in the old system, it's a very different way of thinking. And it might happen, like, these are stories that have been shared with me sometimes, that they are expected to have 3 times a day family meals around the family table. But the conversation is somehow dominated by the old system logic. And it's all about how do you make more money, what are the trades, what have the businesses done? And it's somehow not welcome that you share your own point of view. So it can become super difficult to find your voice. And in this, I think it is very important to align with others and maybe to have, a safe space where you can explore who you really are and what you really care about, so that you can experiment eventually to also share it in your family context. But I think it is great if you can align with other peers around the world who just want to do the same thing. This gives you so much energy back that you're not alone. And I think then afterwards, once you have started your initiatives, it just adds so much power. It becomes an exponential thing when you're aligning forces and people see different
I totally
things.
agree with you. Now, and you said this, not how many.
Oh, now I can't hear you anymore. I don't know if anybody can still hear Raheen, but I see the video is frozen and I don't hear the voice anymore. Yeah, let's see until Raheen is coming back. In a way, I mean, maybe in the meantime.
Now you can finally see me and hear.
Great, you're back.
I am back.
I was just going into conversation mode.
So my next question, and earlier you mentioned about impact investment, right? And I feel now that tech startups are coming up, or startups based on the SDGs, or are solving any of the sustainable development goals, they're more likely to get investment from investors because, well, investors just want to feel good about themselves that they invested in something that's changing the world. So what do you have to say about that?
Yes. So I think it's a good thing, that impact investing is becoming mainstream. In general, I think that's a good thing. I think it's great if both private investors and institutional investors, such as pension funds and central banks, like the big money, I think all of that needs to go into impact, because we have a big funding gap for the Sustainable Development Goals if we want to reach them by 2030. Having said that, I think what investors really need to be careful about is that the good intentions are actually translated into results. And for that, I think everybody who is controlling a portfolio should educate themselves on what types of investments actually have more impact than others. So there's a bit of greenwashing going on in the space. I mean, some, skeptical voices, but, also kind of rational observers, they are noticing, okay, the banking industry is not anymore what it used to be. It's not as easy anymore to make the fees that they used to make. So maybe ESG and, all of this impact investment could be a new way of just justifying the higher fees. And of course, that should never be the goal. So every investor should know how to choose an asset manager, but also how to choose investments that actually have impact, and how to have these conversations with the wealth manager that you're working with.
Yeah. Just give me a second. We're having our azan right now. So that's like kind of the call that we have for prayer. So I'm going to pray later, but I'm just going to pause it, right? And cover my head.
Yes.
we're done. I just wanted to pause because there's respect, yeah, for the
Yes.
both of us. Yeah. Okay. So now I wanted to ask you, and you mentioned as well, it kind of takes me time to process all this. That's why I kind of pick out things from like the earlier conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, you also went to India and you work at like the grassroots level as well. I see. I mean, I don't live in India, but I know India because we're neighbors. So Pakistan and India are like side by side. So we were one country. So basically, we kind of had the same people. Um, Now you see, there's many people when it comes to the elite class of India, they're billionaires, they have like a lot of money, right? And when you come to the people, especially people in Rajasthan, you see people are just struggling to get a meal a day and the others are having caviar breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, there's this difference. Yet, and you've worked in the grassroots level. Not everybody is able to reach that grassroots level because do you think that we should have individual representatives at the grassroots level, or should we just have the elite come to other places of the world? And what's differences that you see?
What do you mean with having representatives at the grassroots level?
Okay, now see, people that you were working in with Rajasthan, they
Yes.
have a very different lifestyle and a very different way as to how they earn money and everything as compared to people in Mumbai, right? People
Yes.
in Mumbai, they're rich. Okay, that's why they are in Mumbai anyway. That's like the LA and the Kentucky. Yeah, that's
Yes.
just compare. Okay,
Hmm.
now tell me, there's a difference, right? And many people that might be representing India are
Hmm.
from the elite class
Yeah.
or have studied English and are very
Hmm.
good and then are very educated. Do you think that we should have representatives from each the elite class as well as the lower class or the people that are very struggling even to get a meal a day? That's how struggling they are from the grassroots level, as I was saying.
Mm.
So do you think that is possible, and how much of a difference did you see when you were coming to India?
Hmm. So I think that India, but also other countries. I always think what is really important is to be able to step out of the circumstances that you have and see the bigger picture of what is there, and in a way not to close your eyes from the reality. Um, so maybe even in the impact space, maybe to answer this question maybe indirectly, but even in the impact space and in the personal development space, you have some people who are, for example, talking about consciousness and let's embody love and light. And I think that this is beautiful and important to kind of recover your strength, but it shouldn't end there, because I think we need to engage with the actual issues that are happening right now all over the world as we speak. And
Yeah.
so I think um, maybe this would be my call, to all the powerful people um, to be brave enough and vulnerable enough to let the reality affect them, and not out of a fear of being, criticized or feeling guilty, to stay away, because this is something that I'm seeing happening, and it's easy for the privileged to just stay in the status quo. They have all the reason to keep the status quo, but they are the ones at choice, because the people in Rajasthan, in the desert, I loved spending time with them. It was amazing. I felt amazing there, and I felt a really beautiful connection. Um, but I think you need to let that happen. And when I was in Rajasthan, for example, and this is just a personal thing, but I think everybody who will go into other circumstances, they will have their own personal revelation. For me, I was wearing glasses, and I had always worn very thick glasses. I had like -10 dioptries. And when I was in Rajasthan, I was also, once in a little village. I think it was Pokhran, if I'm not wrong. And there was a school by this grassroots NGO for disabled children. And so the children, they told me, that's great, you're one of us, because with these glasses in Rajasthan, you would be ending up at the school if you're lucky. And if you're not lucky, you're not getting any education. So I think to let these things affect you as an individual, the lottery of the womb, so to say, the lottery of the womb.
Yeah.
What is the world we would create if we wouldn't know which slot we would get once we are born? And I think this is a question we just all need to ask ourselves over and over.
Yeah, and that's very true, because you see that around the world, I wouldn't just say India or Pakistan or Switzerland. I feel like it's all around the world that we see, just because you are born with a certain DNA, or just because you are born into a certain family, dude, you're the king of the world. See? And I feel it, because it can be hard for somebody who's really trying to make a difference but isn't from a very well-known family, and kind of needs that kind of breakthrough with their own words and their researches and all these things that they're trying to do. So honestly, now that this interview is coming to an end, I am so thankful to you for coming here today, sharing so much from your life, from your experiences in your life, and just coming out and talking about yourself. That can be hard, a lot. That can be actually a lot hard. So thank you so much. I am so thankful, and you reached out to me, so thank you for that as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Just before you go, I'm just going to ask you two questions, short questions. First, if anybody wants to reach out to you, how can they do so?
Right. So so depending on my capacity, because considering that I'm working and I am also a mother of two kids, and there are a couple of things going on in my life, I cannot guarantee that I can, respond, so to say, to each individual message that I would get as a response to this video. But there are two ways of, kind of working together on what I have just talked about. And I think one is the possibility of doing deep one-to-one work. That is one thing. And the other one is the possibility of doing work in a group, which is, of course, more affordable, more inclusive. And yeah, both of that is possible from the start of the new year. For the group work, I have one group that is starting on the 11th of January. And maybe we can just post, the link in the comment for anybody who's interested. There, definitely, I can guarantee, we're going to work together for the group work, for example, for a period of 7 weeks. And for the individual work, that is a very individual thing, depending on how much support a person needs on their transformation.
I see. So that's how now everybody watching, now you know how to contact her and how to get hold of her. So that's that. Second, what message would you like to give to all the people in the audience, and what to me? Yeah.
Oh, a message. Okay. Let me see. Okay, can I give one message and one exercise?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
That's nice.
Okay, so one message. There's a beautiful poem, and maybe I give this poem as a message. And this is: our biggest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our biggest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is not our darkness, but our light that most frightens us. You may ask yourself, who am I to be powerful, brilliant, and fabulous? But actually, who are you not to be? And you're playing small, it does not serve the world. So
that is beautiful.
This is a beautiful poem from Marianne Williamson. And it's deeply meaningful to me. And it's kind of a motto for my work. And then maybe one exercise. So if anybody would like to do something, already starting from tomorrow, might be the following. If you're asking yourself each morning to clean your mind and to kind of unlearn everything that you have learned, and just to ask yourself, if you are not aware of your past, but you just came into this body this morning, what do you see as the best opportunity for yourself and the world around you? How can you make a difference for yourself and the world around you that day? And if you keep asking yourself this question every day for the rest of your life, I believe that everybody's lives, everybody who's here in the audience today, the lives would be changed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for first being here, giving us the precious time, and also giving such a beautiful advice and giving us a very beautiful and deep poem to look up on the Google. Yeah, that's what everybody's gonna do, right? So be honest. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, for commenting, for sharing out. If you did, if you didn't, you still have time. You can do anything that you want. And yeah, be positive, stay positive, and yeah, stay safe so you don't be COVID positive. Haha. Yeah.
And thank you so much for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah. So thank you so much. It was an amazing, I would say an opportunity being here with you. So you shall stay here. I'm gonna end the broadcast, and then me and you can have a word after this as well. Hello, bye bye everybody. So
Bye.
yeah, and definitely I'm gonna come again with somebody awesome. Well, not as awesome as her. I mean, that is something that's rare to find. So yeah. Bye bye.